Won't you think about me living together a little more? I realized that my voice was trembling after I said that. And I thought it closed immediately. Ako's eyes in the hanbo were sharp. She sat glaring at me. What are you saying? Who are you talking to? Her voice was cold. Her piercing gaze, which seemed to insult my personality, hurt more than the words themselves. I see. Well, here I give you this. After saying that, my wife stood up silently and rummaged through her wallet. Eventually, she took out a piece of hair and slammed it down. It was a divorce notice. I am Takeda, 35 years old. I work as a fixer from home. My wife Ako is 3 years younger than me, but she is a salesperson at a major company and has a reputation for being a lively person at the company. Ako and I had promised to support each other and live our lives. Ako and I met through a mutual friend. From the first time we met, she was a very confident person. Her clothes and makeup were perfect, and she was very passive, so she gave off a slightly unapproachable impression, but that was refreshing and drew me in. I've always been told that I'm a bit absent-minded, and I wasn't suited to working in a company, so I became a freelance designer. For me, who has always lived my life letting time go by, Ako's energy to carve out her own path in life was dazzling. Hiroshi is kind of laid back, isn't he? But I guess there are a lot of people who think that's good about him. When she said that, I was a little taken aback. Even though we are complete opposites, I felt like something clicked well. When we started dating, I realized that Ako was the type of person who never compromises on anything. She plans our dates well, and doesn't waste time making restaurant reservations or traveling. On the other hand, I'm the type who walks around aimlessly without even looking at the map of our destination. Still, Ako said that she finds my laid-back atmosphere soothing. I feel like she has something that I'm lacking. She was the one who proposed to me. I think I can do my best with Hiroshi. Isn't it ideal to have a relationship where you can complement each other's weaknesses? I was happy to hear those words, so I replied, "Thank you for your help." I really thought so. I believed that we would always be able to support each other. But as time passed, our relationship of complementing each other fell apart. It's been almost 2 years since we got married. Ako has been a lot different lately. Mom is coming to our house starting this weekend. When I heard that at the Alban dinner table, the bridge stopped. How many days will Mom come? Well, for the time being. My legs are getting worse, and I think I've reached my limit of living alone. Yeah. But that was sudden. You should think about putting her in a facility. If your parent was in that condition, would you want to put them in a facility? That's terrible. I wanted to deny it, but I couldn't find the words. Ako's eyes had already become completely set on the decision. You're just working from home, so it's just right. Since you're at home, you should take care of them. Please do your best for your mother too. Hold on. I work and I'm at home, so it's not like I'm bored. But I earn more than you. That's reality. If I, who supports the family, did everything at home, I'd collapse. Isn't that what sharing the work is all about? That Higashi was completely looking down on me. I do housework too. I cook half the week, and I do most of the laundry and cleaning. But do you know how much I work? I accompany the manager and take a big turn and adjust the car. Isn't sales that easy? Don't put me in the same category as someone who draws illustrations while drinking coffee in the afternoon. I didn't expect to be told that much. I've always said strong things, but this is different. It's over 1,000, that means I'm not doing anything. I want you to at least be aware of your role as a housewife. The reason I can work hard at the company now is because I'm at home. What's that all about? That's what we were talking about in the car. I'm not a full-time housewife. I work as a freelancer and get paid properly. I also contribute to the monthly household finances. But in Akko's mind, I don't work outside anymore, so I'm a family member. That's how she thought of me. What's that? Playing the victim. It's your fault for working half-heartedly. Husbands all over the world are supporting their wives properly. I'm supporting them, so why'd I have to be told so much? Rather than feeling angry, I felt my heart quietly awaken. I felt something important inside me had broken. That weekend, Akko's mother came over. She was using a cane, but she spoke well and was able to do things normally around her. She was a calm person who was actually very considerate of me. Would you like to have some tea without pushing yourself, Mom? I'll make it now. Well, thank you, Hishi-san. You're kind. No, don't worry about it. But next to her, Akko said with a smile. My Hishi-san looks like a person with a lot of free time. He's perfect for taking care of your mother. Ah, I see. That's how it is now. My job and my position are all ignored. A pawn for my parents. What I need is not a supportive partner, but a convenient husband who will silently obey. This is ignoring my personality, isn't it? Since we started living together, my life has changed completely. When I wake up in the morning, I start the washing machine, make breakfast, make tea for my mother-in-law and clean the living room. At noon, I prepare lunch, and in the evening, I prepare dinner. In the time I have in between, I somehow open my PC and finish my design work. But the time I can mainly concentrate is at night after I finish all the housework. But the moment I open my laptop, a cold voice comes from behind me. Are you going to work again today? I can't calm down working next to you. I'm busy with things at home during the day and can't concentrate on my work. Can't you finish this kind of housework quickly and efficiently? I've got a project that's close to the deadline, so I want you to let me concentrate for a while. Ah. I come home exhausted from going out and it's hard. Can you not work while staying at home? To begin with, I wasn't slacking off on the housework. I cook every day and help my mother-in-law with her daily needs as much as I can. But it seems that being at home just means not doing anything to Akko. It's really annoying when she looks at me like I'm trying my best. Alban's mother-in-law was just coughing. The words she said in the living room pierced my heart. If that's what you think, then there's nothing more I can say. That's right. Just keep working quietly and do the housework. If you don't say anything back, I won't feel bad either. She spoke as if peace would be maintained if I kept quiet so that she wouldn't get angry. What is this? Mutual support? Not a family. This is domination. My mother-in-law was the complete opposite of that. When I sat at the breakfast table, she smiled softly. "I'll have miso soup." It was delicious. Yes. How much it saved me when she said that one word while squinting her eyes. She turned to my back as I was hanging out the laundry and said, "Hissy-san, don't push yourself too hard." When I heard my mother-in-law's concerned voice say that "I'm sure you have work to do," somewhere in my heart, I felt a warmth. She seems to be the type of person who feels sorry for relying on others, and even though she has weak legs, she does what she can by herself and does not lose her rigid posture. I naturally want to lend a hand to such a mother-in-law. There was a kind of gentle trust there that was not forced. But Ako was different. She would casually repeat her words and actions that looked down on me even in front of my mother-in-law. Hakoto would make it a joke. Because my mother-in-law is not good at reading the mood. You see, even though I say work, it's just an extension of my hobbies. I'm just clicking away on the computer. My mother-in-law had a clearly uncomfortable look on her face. She looked troubled and looked at me with a small smile, but it was to hide her confusion. I had no choice but to laugh. If I had responded in that situation, the atmosphere would have become unpleasant. So I decided to put on an ambiguous expression and let it go. I clearly understood that my presence had become less important to her. Before I knew it, our relationship, which was supposed to be one of mutual support, had turned into a series of impositions and contempt. This might not work. By the time I thought that, my heart had already moved. Let's gather evidence. That was the only way to protect myself. The first thing I did was record on my smartphone. When Ako said something harsh, I would secretly press the record button. Next, I saved the line history. "Clean your mother's bath. Don't embarrass me. I'm making money outside, so you just keep quiet and run the house." I took a screenshot and saved it in the cloud. Eventually, I started using my PC's webcam to record the video as well. There was no need to yell. But I also lowered the rainbow over the bridge of words and controlled and pressured her. A friend from college who is a lawyer told me that if they pile up, it would be enough evidence. "Hiroshi, you should consider divorce and act." This is a typical example of a moha. When he told me straight through the screen, I finally understood the situation I was in. I was no longer in a couple that supported each other. I was living with the label of a convenient fire government attached to me. Today's meal was a bit sloppy. My mother was disappointed. I'm not going to clean up perfectly because I'm bored anyway. Do you realize that you're living off my earnings? I recorded all of those words that stuck in my ears. Every night, I saved the audio files on my laptop and sorted them by date, which was painful, but also somehow a relief. Every time I collected evidence, I felt like the doubts in my heart were disappearing one by one. This was preparation to get my life back. I hadn't decided how to bring it up yet. But I knew that I was definitely heading towards the exit, one step at a time. That day, Ako made the air tense from the moment she opened the front door. The sound of her shoes being taken off was rough in the night, and her heels hit the flooring with a clunk. The sound of her putting her kettle down was so rough that it sounded like she was hitting the desk with a bang, and that was enough to make me think, oh, it's the same today. I quietly reheated the dinner and handed her the steaming miso soup. I was confident in the taste, and it was a menu that my mother-in-law had just said was delicious. Still, Ako only took a bite and put it down. She didn't touch it after that. Ha! I sighed loudly and didn't try to hide my displeasure. I remained silent. Only the sound of the TV echoed in the room. Something inside me was reaching its limit. I had tried to hold back so many times before. Maybe she was tired from working too much. Maybe she just had a strong tone and didn't mean any harm. But I felt like none of those ideas would work anymore. I mustered up all my courage and opened my mouth. Could you please think about me, who we live together? I realized that my voice was trembling after I said that. And I thought I closed my mouth right away. I knew that this one word would make tonight another long night, because I had experienced it so many times before. Hanju's eyes were sharp and piercing. He sat there glaring at me. What are you saying? Who are you talking to? It was a cold voice. More than the words themselves, it was the piercing gaze that seemed to destroy my personality that hurt me. But this time, I didn't look away. There was no more room left in my heart to hold it in. I looked straight at Akko. I thought I had been holding back for a long time. But the words I've been saying lately are too much. It really hurts. It's not that I don't feel anything either. I spoke in a low voice so as not to get emotional, but perhaps my gentleness resonated more heavily. Akko didn't say anything for a moment. Rather than searching for words, she looked as if she hadn't expected my rebellion. After a few seconds of silence, she slowly twisted the corners of her mouth and laughed. She didn't yell back or show tears. She just gave me a cold smile as if she was entrusting it to me triumphantly. I see. Well, I'll give you this. Saying that, Akko stood up silently and rummaged through her wallet. Eventually, she took out a piece of hair and slammed it down. It was a divorce notice. I knew it at a glance, without even reading it. The name and address were carefully written in the envelope. From the writing style, I immediately knew it was written in a writing pad. How long had she been preparing it for? Or was she expecting this kind of development? Either way, this is a threat. I don't really want a divorce. It's just a warning that this is what will happen if I don't listen. The thread was so visible that my heart went cold. The name and address were already written on the form. The ring was also properly stamped. If you want to give it to me, you can give it to me and I won't have any problems. Or rather, aren't you the one who is in trouble? I said nothing, staring at her hair. You have no income. Your housework is also half-hearted. You may sound like a designer, but in reality you're worse than a part-time worker. Do you really think you can find someone else? Akko's face was filled with confidence as she said this with a smile. The divorce papers were a threat. I don't really want a divorce. I just want to show my superiority. I'm sure she was waiting for me to get impatient and stop her. But at that moment, something in my heart made a noise and collapsed. Somewhere I thought that it was enough. My resolve was firm and unwavering. Okay, I got up a little earlier than usual. I turned the selection machine as usual and prepared breakfast for my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law sat quietly at the table and suddenly looked at me. Hishi-san, you're very early today. I have to go to the city hall for a bit, so I'm going out for a bit. It wasn't a lie. It was just that I didn't intend to come back. My mother-in-law tilted her head a little, but didn't ask anything more. That casual consideration touched my heart. In my backpack was the divorce papers that Sakuya Akko had thrown at me. I filled in all the necessary fields and squid. All that was left was to submit it to the city hall. I put on my shoes and put my hand on the front door, but suddenly I stopped. I turned around and saw my mother-in-law looking at me. She slowly stood up and bowed her head to me as if to feed me. "Thank you as always, Hiroshi. I liked the miso soup you made." I felt something get stuck in my throat. "Thank you. Please don't push yourself too hard." With that, I quietly left the entrance. Inside the document was the divorce papers that Sakuya and her child had thrown at me. All the necessary information had been filled in and my name was also stamped. The office was quiet. While waiting for my turn, I took several deep breaths while pretending to check my email on my smartphone. When my turn came and I was called, I handed over the divorce papers and the receptionist looked over them for confirmation. At that time, I was surprisingly calm. "This completes the procedure." I nodded as I listened to the explanation at the counter. The moment the divorce papers were accepted, I felt something weighing on my shoulders fall off silently. On my feet, I went to the law firm I had booked in advance. A lawyer who was strong in divorce cases introduced by a friend from college. The lawyer who had been listening to me looked over the USB containing the recording data, line screenshots, and saved video files, all organized and put into files, and quietly said, "This is enough. This will be established as evidence of Mahara." Hearing those words, I was finally able to breathe. Is it okay to proceed with the direction of claiming compensation? Please. I had no more doubts. This was not revenge. It was just a natural procedure to regain my dignity. I never went back home. I moved to a monthly apartment that very day. I had packed my things in advance and did not contact Akko at all. She probably still doesn't realize that the divorce papers had already been filed. She may be smug, thinking that I'll regret it and come back by now, but that will never happen. I put her threat into action. 3 days after filing the divorce papers, Akko contacted me for the first time. The line notification had just one word. "I'm not coming back yet." It was a short message, but I could feel the feelings behind it. "She'll come back if she cools her head." I guess that arrogance still remains in her. I didn't reply. I closed the screen without even marking it as read. The next day, I received another message. "Your mother is worried." That minute was a fish somewhere in my heart. It was my mother-in-law who was worried, not Akko. It only became more and more clear. On Friday of that week, Akko received a certified letter. The sender was the law firm that represents me. Inside the envelope was a notice of compensation. The contents were clear enough for anyone to understand. It contained the repeated moral harassment during the continuation of the marriage, as well as audio recordings and a history of unilateral orders online. It even contained a video. Using these as evidence, they were claiming 3 million yen in compensation for mental damages. In addition, it was clearly stated that all future contact should be through the lawyer and that direct contact should be avoided. Despite this, I received another notification from Akko on my smartphone. Is the divorce a lie? Is the lawyer serious? After that, I received a series of messages. Did you really file for divorce? Is it a lie? It was a joke. Let's talk about it. This is terrible. None of them reached my heart anymore. Meanwhile, I received a letter from my mother-in-law through her lawyer. It was carefully written on the creased lines. I'm sure I don't know everything that Akko said. But I knew that you had been putting up with it all this time. I'm sorry I couldn't do anything. I was speechless. The breakfast you made for me was the best treat ever. Please don't worry about me anymore. I hope you can live peacefully. After reading that letter, I couldn't move for a while. Unlike Atsuko, my mother-in-law was sympathetic to people's feelings until the end. A few days later, I heard a rumor. It seems that the atmosphere in the sales department where Akko works is changing. Her husband left, right? Is it true that she's getting alimony at the bar? I heard it not from a direct acquaintance, but through a mutual friend. Her strong will was her strong point in the car. In Koyoshi's sales department, as long as she produced results, she was allowed to be a little greedy. However, the label that she was run away by her husband was enough to completely change the evaluation she had up until then. Her image, which had been considered cool for her work, gradually began to change. I heard that the talk of her original intentions was also shelved. For Ko, it would be better than anything to have her career damaged, but that is also the result of her own choice. Eventually, Akko made a peace offer through her lawyer. I will pay the alimony, so I want you to keep quiet at work. That was her condition. But I had no intention of accepting it. What I wanted was not to destroy someone. I just wanted to put a fair end to the hurt I had received. To pretend it never happened and end it vaguely. I didn't come this far to get away with such a trick. I confronted Akko with my brain. A few days later, I received a letter from Akko through her lawyer. The contents of the letter were straightforward. There were no excuses or emotional words. It was just a quiet reflection, apology, and her own report. I am truly sorry. During my married life, I repeatedly acted in a way that was hurtful to you. Only now did I realize that it was moral harassment. My mother also scolded me. I finally realized the weight of what I had done when I saw what you thought of your family and how your mother cried at my attitude. My mother was admitted to a facility at her own request. It's too late to regret that I could have cherished you and your mother a little earlier, but I will pay the compensation as my lawyer has told you. Please don't let this cause any more pain in your life. The letter was Akko's handwriting. Her handwriting was a little shaky, but still neat. I finished reliving the letter in silence. My anger didn't disappear. I didn't forgive her. But I was able to draw a line here. The letter from my mother-in-law also arrived through the lawyer. I had always known that you had been patient with me. I'm sorry I couldn't help you. But your kindness has saved me many times. I still miss the miso soup you made for me. From now on, please put your own happiness first. I closed the letter and took a deep breath. I thought it was over. To be precise, I thought I was finally starting. A few days later, I received a formal notice from Akko's lawyer regarding the payment of compensation. The amount was 10,000 yen, and there was no sign of any fighting. When I read that sentence, I quietly nodded. Everything was finally over. No, my life had begun. I moved out of my monthly apartment and rented a new room. The one-room apartment was small, and I was still in the process of starting over at work. Still, my heart felt strangely light. I went out to the balcony in the morning and drank coffee. The chilly air touched me and I realized that I was alive. I was happy that I was able to be moved by such small things again. One day, I was moved by a project I saw on social media. It was a project started by a fellow designer. I hesitated a little when I saw the words calling for participants, but I decided to send a message. A few hours later, I received a reply saying that they would like to help me. It was like a light had suddenly lit up in my heart. I could finally move forward. It was small, but it was true. That night, I received a final message from Akko. "Are you doing well?" I stared at those short words for a while but didn't reply. I just thought. Maybe she had finally realized how much she had lost. But even if I realized it now, it wouldn't do anything. I won't look back. At night, I turned off the lights in my room and looked up at the sky through the gap in the curtains. The pale moon was floating quietly. I never thought that the sky I had lived in would spread out before me after I let go of everything. And I smiled softly. The one who will have the last laugh is the one who makes the right choices in life.